Sorry about that, my friends. I just forgot. I just lost track of time. We usually I'm starting an hour early, well, 45 minutes early because I watch a live stream at 3 o'clock. But here it is, chapter two of book three. Hope you guys enjoy this. It's not as long as chapter one was, and I fixed a lot of errors I made in chapter. Yeah, I found as a proofread last night. All right, getting started. Chapter 2, Beta Geisel. Thank the gods the Imperials cleared out of Cloud City, Rena says as they move along the main city concourse. Some parts still bear battle scars from when Stephen, Rena, and the Baroness tried to escape following the capture of Princess Julia, see Book 1. And she had been taken by the bounty hunter, Lone Wolf. And you know her now. And Stephen had been critically wounded, but there was no Baron or Baroness to run operations in the city. Thank the gods you have returned, Baroness, one city leader says. Rena and the Baroness are greeted with open arms as they move along the concourse while Stephen and Sepp are greeted as well. They are announced warmly as the two women, but Stephen is given a hero's welcome, Tiger 4 and all that. However, the ground crew works to refuel and service the Eagle, parked on platform 42. Once more. If anybody knows the story of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you'll know where the number 42 comes from. Sorry, excuse my mess. Be right back. Sorry about that. All right, back to my book. Please assemble the city leaders. I will address the people, Gilfar says. Of course, Baroness, the man says, nodding. Give me an hour, then I will speak with them. Gilfar says. Word spreads that the hero of the Battle of the Void is on Beta Geisel again, and is looking for recruits. Pilots of any level of training and skill. So all pilots are assembling, and any cargo vessels within a light year's distance are making their way to Cloud City. People are concerned about Centauri Prime, who's always been there for their fellow rebel worlds. And now the people of Centauri Prime are calling for help. Old T-15 Talon pilots to Imperial defectors are making their way to join and fight for the rebellion. Excuse me 1 second. Thirsty. Stephen even wears the flight suit he wore when he took on the Dark Star. The big gaping holes where he was wounded are still there. They, Stephen, Rena, and Sepp, set up 2 round dinner tables in a cafe that is extremely popular and frequented by pilots and other aviation enthusiasts. Pilots. And long lines form up in front of the tables, going out into the main concourse. As you all may be aware, Centauri Prime has been under siege for some months now since the victory of our forces at the Battle of the Void. Stephen says, speaking into a microphone so he can be heard even out on the concourse. Many of you know who I am. I am Steven Spears, call sign Tiger 4, the man who destroyed the Dark Star, destroyer of my homeworld, Earth. I now call Centauri Prime my homeworld. We are seeking individuals with combat experience. It does not matter what you piloted, Imperial Scorpions or the older T-15 Talons. You will have a place on our ships, on one of our ships that we will attempt to slip to the Imperial blockade. My friends and I are here to recruit as many pilots as we can and bring them back to help defend Prime and her people. At my table, all combat pilots, please queue up here. He continues, pointing to his table where he and Rena sit. If anyone who pilots a cargo vessel, please queue up in front of my friend Sepp Dietrich's table. He points to Sepp's table. A few people move from one line to the other and back. Also, any men or women who've served on a naval vessel, Rebel or Imperial, does not matter. Please queue up in Sepp Dietrich's line. We will take all in. Retired, defector, or running from prosecution. In 2 hours, Stevens signs up 100 fighter pilots, some retired from the old GFS, some defectors from the Empire, a few deserters from rebel custody, wishing to face the Empire once more. Then Steven, Rena, and Sepp stop for lunch at the diner. At the same time, Sepp signs up 75 cargo captains and their ships, one of which is a converted Clem-class destroyer. One's an Imperial vessel. Sepp works with the new blockade runners on how to install cooking devices on their ships. We're about ready to start this over again. Friends, sorry, it's a little weird. I might have to rewrite that. As the crowd moves aside, a group of some 18 middle-aged and older men and women stroll into the diner, and the lines part to give them room. Stephen then sees what appears to be samurai sword hilts hidden under the cloaks they were wearing. Samurai warriors, Stephen mutters to himself. Yes, we are, Grandmaster Stephen. The woman leading the group in beams into his head. What? There's a little catch to that story. How did you survive the Emperor's Purge? Stephen beams back, stunned. Many of us were on world sympathetic to your late father, Chancellor Spanlighter. Master Stephen, the woman beams back. We are here to lift the blockade over Centauri Prime, Master. Stephen, a man says aloud. There are a couple of dozen more en route to Centauri Prime as we speak. We are tired of what the Emperor has done to our great republic. Excuse me. Many of us stayed in hiding among people who are sympathetic to the GFS, Galactic Free States. Taking a break for a minute. Okay. Sorry, I need a drink. Okay. We could proudly say that there are more than a couple hundred samurai warriors who wish to bring an end to the Emperor and his tyrannical ways. The lead woman says. So my friend Master Natuk and Grandmaster Magdalene were not the only survivors of the Purge, Stephen asked, surprised. Seen a few Nagano warriors, a Gazelian, and a Mammoth warrior among the group of warriors. I think I showed you a picture of that one. Well, a picture of a mammoth in my story. No, they were not, the lead woman says, nodding. There are several hundred samurai still alive galaxy-wide. sir, the man says. And we're all coming out of hiding to help the rebellion overthrow the empire. The lead samurai says, nodding. I'm so happy to have you all, my friends, Stephen says. What do you want us to do to help, Esther? The woman asks. Can you still use your masking act? Stephen asks. We may be rusty, but we never lost our powers. The woman says, nodding. I gotta change that. Yeah, leave it like it is. Excellent. Glad to have you all on my side and the rebellion side, Steph says. Suddenly, as I talk, people part once more. As a group of some 12 child-sized beings walk into the cafe, all gray-colored and with tiny pointed ears, small mouths, and two slits for nostrils. Their bodies are gaunt, thin. Their arms are so thin with strong legs and what appears to be veins pulsing on top of their large skulls, on the top of the long, narrow necks. Their eyes, large and bulbous, are all black. They each have 4 fingers and 4 toes and have blue blood. OMG, Greys, Sepp says, shocked. There's another catch in my story. Yes, we are, as your race is unknown to call us. The apparent leader says in his mind. Our race is called the Quardari. I'm still not going to pronounce that one right. We have come to Gazelle City to offer our services in the war against the Empire and lift the blockade of Centauri Prime. Hey, I like those little catches in my story. Decided to bring little green men in my story. I think I showed you a picture of one I drew. Thank you, sir, Stephen says, nodding as he bows. We have 20 of our 20-mile-across saucer ships at your command, Commander. The lead Gray says. Sorry. Stephen, reports are coming in of a fleet of these ships emerging from thin air. Sepp says. Thanks, Sepp. Stephen nods. When do we leave for Alpha Centauri? Lead Gray asks in his mind. 2 or 3 days, once we've recruited more pilots. Thank you, Steve says. We shall await your orders to fold into Centauri space. The lead Gray beams back. They suddenly all dissolve into nothingness as if they were never there. Gone. What do you think of that little catch in my story? Greys and more samurai warriors. I decided to change that in book 2. Or this book, I think. I don't know if I did in book 3. Book 3 was what I'm reading right now. They continue recruiting until dinner and come up with around 150 fighter pilots in all, plus another 35 cargo commanders and defectors from the Imperial fleet and some retired GFS warship crews. Sepp works with the cargo ship captains to install cloaking devices. At the same time, Stephen and Rena work with the fighter pilots to get them accustomed to the patrol routines around Centauri Prime. Friends, Baroness Guilford says as she joins him. Where have you been? Stephen asks, concerned now. Talking with the city business leaders. I am closing Gazelle Cloud City to the Empire. As of an hour ago, we are a solely rebel base of operations, Guilford says now. You sure you're ready to do this? Sepp asks now. Scratch that, change that, delete now out of there. Sorry, just making changes in my book. After what happened to the princess, I know the rebellion that much. Besides, they tore up my city after I left with you guys. Goforth says. They all sit down to eat dinner together. Besides, we do have a squadron of defense ships orbiting the system, along with a new top secret weapon we use to deflect incoming asteroids. Got that idea from another story, another thing. One of my favorite TV shows when I was a kid. It's that big, Stephen S. Big enough, and he used deflector satellites to redirect the asteroid. Sorry, I add one little change. Okay. Goforth says, the next day, before leaving Beta Geisel, Stephen and Sepp assemble all ship captains for one final briefing before warping to the Alpha Centauri system in Centauri Prime. The cargo vessels will swarm together into tight formations, so that the few samurai warriors on board can mask those ships that are not carrying a samurai warrior. All right. What page is this? Not yet. Sorry, guys. I just checked. Five pages more. Sorry, I'm just checking something. Okay, everyone, we will be leaving for Alpha Centauri to break the blockade on Centauri Prime, Stephen says before the assembled captains. Eagle will lead us into the system, in case we encounter Imperial vessels, and follow the prearranged patrol routines. Stick close to each other for self-defense in case the imps, as rebels like to call them, discover us. Additionally, Samurai Warrior will use our masking skills to protect us as well. We leave at first light. Questions? None. Good luck to everyone. See you all in Centauri Prime. Okay. Give me a second. Just take a little break. Besides, in between. Little respite. Okay. Good luck to everyone. See you all on Centauri Prime, Stephen reiterates as he sits in the pilot seat of the SS Eagle. Sepp sits in the co-pilot seat. The next morning, as the sun peaks around the largest moon in the Beta Geisel system, he's speaking over the radio headset on his head. Sorry, making one little change. All right, sorry. On 3, we jump to warp, Sepp says, cutting in now. Godspeed, Stephen says. 1, he says. 2, Sepp says. 3, both say together as they press the throttles full forward into hyperspace, followed by the other 35 cargo vessels in the relief fleet, en route to Centauri Prime. Now we see the cloaking devices work for all the ships, Sepp says. You're right, Sepp. I must contact Natuk and Prime and alert them that we are leaving Geisel City. Natuk, you read me, friend. He beams to his fellow samurai warrior. Loud and clear, partner. Not the Nagano warrior replies instantly. That's it. We are now just leaving Beta Geisel with some friends, and I do mean some friends. Understood? Stephen beams. I will alert you when we are 2 hours away. Then you must begin a counteroffensive against the Imperial fleet. We shall be ready, Stephen. Stephen! Julius breaks in with her beam communication. The Empire's blocking all radio transmissions in and out of the system. Julia, we're coming home, friend, with a few friends. Alert the CPDC and your father. Julia, he beams. Understood, beloved. How'd it go? She asks. She beams back. Better than we had hoped, Stephen beams, not getting going any further than he should. See you soon, beloved, Julia says. We expect to be in Centauri Prime space in some 8 hours. Stephen beams. Okay. He rises to his feet, says Rena can take the controls, and he can walk back to the compartment to rest and eat. The entire the entire compartment and cargo area loaded with people. But Stephen leans back in the recliner seat, centrally located. He laid back and closed his eyes to meditate and rest for a few hours. However, Sepid has accommodated all his passengers as best he could with the limited space available. He expected to carry about a God knows how many people he has on board. Sorry, I was thirsty. Okay. Stephen, we're almost on the outer reaches of the Imperial blockade, Rena says softly, shaking Stephen to wake him up. Softly to wake him. He opens his eyes and looks around, seeing other passengers start to stir. We lose anybody? He asks, rising to his feet. Negative. All ships present and accounted for. Ace. Set calls from the cockpit now. Alright, sorry. Stephen moves forward to sit in the chair behind Sep as the Baroness sits in the co-pilot seat. Radio silence from this point on, Sep, he says, looking over Sep's shoulder. Way ahead of you here, kid. How far out are we from the outer blockade lines? I'd say about 2 hours, Sep says. I need to fix that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna fix that. Roger that, Stephen says. That took. He beams to his Nagano warrior friend. Hey, partner, what's up? Natsuck beams back. We're now 2 hours out and about to pass through the blockade lines of the Imperial fleet, Starfleet. It's time you and the CPDC get moving, Stephen beams. Already underway. The imps have attacked and launched a full-scale invasion of the system. Centauri 6 has fallen. Our fleet has held its own, but we are being pushed hard, and Natsuck beams. Hurry, partner, please. That's... We're coming, Natsuck. We're coming. Stephen beams. He watches as they pass by the biggest super battle cruiser he has ever seen. It's painted glossy red all over. A fleet of small battle cruisers surrounds it, and swarms of the Imperial Scorpion fighters. They then make for the outer field of ice-covered asteroids and such, the outer limits of the Centauri Prime system. He gets a set of 35 green lights from the other 35 cargo vessels as they pass through the Imperial fleet, unmolested. He can see the debris from previous encounters with the Imperial fleet. You all should know Centauri 6 has fallen to the imps. They have begun a full-scale invasion of the Centauri system as they pass through the oil. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to... I gotta fix that. Sorry. He informs them as they pass through the asteroid field, so I gotta change one little thing. He says as they pass through The asteroid field has the outer boundaries of the Centauri system, near the Centauri 6, now in the hands of the Imperial Starfleet. Change. For now, that is. Scratch the print that out. Just making changes, fixes. As they pass Centauri 6, they see a fleet of 35 Imperial cruisers mopping up what was left. The cargo fleet that ran supplies from Centauri 6 to Prime, the gas giant. It's a reddish green color and has 16 moons orbiting it. That's a lot of moons. As it looks large on the monitor, and through large triangle-shaped viewports ahead. As far as clear Centauri Prime, we can drop out a cloak and warp. We'll be under the protection of Viper Command, Steven says, as they pass by the Imperials there, unnoticed. We also encounter a massive comet inbound to the sun at the system center. As a near Centauri Prime, Uranus-like gas giant that lies on its side. Much like Uranus, however, it has two thin, tenuous ring systems that encircle the gas giant and 14 moons from pole to pole, not equator, rather than along the equator like Uranus. One of which is a desert-type world, as inhabited is the headquarters of the CPDC Centauri Prime Defense Command. But it is brownish with wispy white clouds in the upper atmosphere. The CPDC is heavily defending it at all costs. As they pass through the orbit of the sixth moon, the desert moon, they are suddenly joined by a flight of 12 Vipers and some of the two new T-Wings, just as SEP deactivates the Eagle's cloaking device, which also causes the rest of the ships in this small fleet to deactivate their cloaking devices. Eagle! Hannah Baxter calls over the radio. Hannah, we're back. We brought some friends. I took set a few friends, but this is ridiculous. I'll need more backup to escort you and your friends to Prime, Hannah says, smiling over the overhead monitor. Welcome home, Captain. It gets better. All right. 3 more pages in this chapter, and then I'll be done. Thank you, Hannah, Sep says as the line goes dead, and another flight of 24 Vipers appears from nowhere. And home. Sorry, give me 1 second. I can change that. So right here I have I got E323. Okay. Alright, sorry guys, I had a little change. I gotta fix it. Thank you, Hannah, Sep says as the line goes dead, and another flight of 24 Vipers appears from nowhere. And an E-233B Super Hawkeye Naval AWACS patrol aircraft. It's similar to the Hawkeye of 1,000 years back. However, it utilizes 2 J318 by 3313A hyper pusher lift engines and carries a crew of 6, including a pilot and co-pilot. It is also smaller than its namesake. There, I'll show you. Here's my Hawkeye, new Hawkeye. It has 6 lift engines fitted to each of the J318 Hyperjet engines for vertical takeoff and landing. It comes with tricycle landing gear. It is also capable of hyperspace travel thanks to its engines. Hannah, we have a few surprises in store for the imps, Stephen says. I believe that, Skipper. She leads a large fleet into the inner solar system, passing Centauri 4. The first Earth-type planet is a lush blue-green world used for farming by the people in the system. In addition to being used as a hunting preserve, it is the same size as the Earth. It has 2 moons, plus has ruins that predate the GFS. They almost look like Incan pyramids on the limited Earth. Just as the Quadari E appear in their giant saucer-shaped vessels, they pounce on the Imperial fleet, and they are defeated in moments as they use weapons more potent than that used by the Dark Star. Here we go again. They have a weapon that acts like a scimitar that cuts an Imperial cruiser in half, causing it to explode. Where the hell did they come from? Hannah asks as the giant silver reflective saucers cut through the Imperial fleet. That's my little surprise, Hannah. Stephen says, smiling. Grays. The UFO creatures? Wow, Hannah says, smiling. Yeah, they appeared on Cloud City as we were recruiting pilots. Any other surprises for me? Hannah asks. You'll find out soon enough. Winking his eye. They now reach Centauri 3, a ringed jungle world with 1 natural moon. It serves as a farming planet and game preserve, run by a small community of families. The harvesting is done by droids to save on the manpower. It's predominantly lush in vegetation and has a large ocean that dominates the southern hemisphere. From Centauri 5 inward, the defenses get stiffer, even though the outer planets are well defended, but not strong enough to keep Centauri 6 from falling. But that was part of the system defense. If it appeared that the imps were overpowering them, the fleets will fall back to Centauri 5 and so forth. Okay, so one more time. 2 more pages. Yeah. They reach Centauri Prime, the second planet in the system, now home world of the human race, the Centauri people, and the Nagano warrior race. It is slightly larger than the Earth, has 3 rocky moons, it is lush in vegetation, and has large, deep seas. They are ideal for fisheries to flourish along its long coastlines. Numerous mountain ranges, rivers, and lakes crisscross the planet. The natives share the world and do not strip it of its natural resources. Even though there are many factories, they do not release any pollutants into the atmosphere. Temperatures range from sub-zero to well above zero, from Arctic tundra to vast deserts, and many roads between the many cities, towns, and villages shared by both human and Nagano alike. Okay, even with the addition of 550,000 humans from Earth, there's plenty of space on the planet for native wildlife to thrive and for the humans and their Nagano brethren to expand and share the world with nature. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a I don't know what they call them. I support the environment. I'm not Greenpeace. That's it. The fleet of cargo vessels begins landing at various points across the planet. The space is available, and Eagle lands near the royal palace, greeted by the king, his wife, his queen, and Julia. Stephen yells as she comes running up. Stephen, thank God you made it back home. She yells out, running into his arms. Welcome home, Stephen, the king says, shaking Stephen's hand. Then does likewise with Sep, Rena, and the Baroness. As all three bow and curtsy to him and his wife, the queen. Thank you, your highness, Stephen says, bowing. Forget it, son. You saved us from total annihilation if you timely with your timely arrival gains talk. But thanks to those saucer ships, my God, such massive vessels they are too. Aquarius Dari. I don't know how to pronounce it. I just created the name. Sep says, nodding. We know him better as Grays. We also were able to find more samurai warriors that survived the purge, your highness. Stephen says that a group of old timers and middle-aged men and women walk up and bow in their cloaks. I think I can safely say we broke the imperial blockade of the system, sire, Stephen says. Good, I hope we send them running back home with their tails between their legs. At least you did your best, Hannah. Stephen says, nodding. Oh, sorry, Hannah. How many fighter pilots did we lose? Rena asked. 12 good, valuable pilots, Rena. Good pilots, too. You did well, Hannah. He expected greater losses in his fighter pilots than that, but 12 is still tough, regardless of how you took a look at it. Captain, I wish to see you in the briefing room in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. The king says, smiling, as he, the queen, and their retinue walk off. Yes, your highness, Stephen says, bowing. And that is chapter 2. Please, give me a like if you liked it. I've done some editing as I'm going along. I've missed stuff I didn't see when I read it last night. Trying to fix any of the mistakes I found. Chapter 3, I will do tomorrow. I'm a little sore-throated after readings. Chapter 3 is a good one, I think. But I guess not. My friend Hiki is not on right now. I'm sorry, I don't know he or yet. Sorry. He or she yet. But I have a lot of respect for my friends on here. That was a lot of reading. Not as much as I had chapter 1. Chapter 1 was long. Chapter 2 was not bad. But I'm going to call it a day because I got another stream I'm going to watch about 5 minutes. Yeah. Make sure you like it. If you liked what I read, what you heard, please give me a thumbs up. If not, I don't mind. Either one. But please comment. Give me suggestions or anything I can do to improve it. I listen. And I am reading comments. I may not get to them fast, but I do listen. And take care, my friends. Bye. Yes.